It's Monday, which means we're spending a little time with San Antonio Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones.
Yeah, she's here live with us weekly, Mondays with the mayor. We love it. Hey, the Trump administration, they have a big deadline today to try and get those SNAP benefits moving. But you worked really hard with a lot of members of the community to raise a whole lot of money. How did you get that done last week?
Well, thank you for raising that. Yes, look, when our community is in need, there's about 300,000 folks in our community that rely on SNAP benefits. Every month, $50 million is what comes into our community for SNAP benefits. So yes, when I heard that there was a possibility that they were not going to get their benefits, and that's really unprecedented. I want to make sure we recognize that, Audrey, is that when we've had a shutdown before, they've always front-loaded those benefits or made sure that those folks had those resources during this time. We're talking about people that are check to check. $150 is what some folks are relying on to put food on the table. So yes, I'm very thankful. When I heard that, I got on the phone. USAA, can I count on you for $250K?
Wow.
Juan Andrade said, yes, you can. HEB has been very generous. Frost Bank has been very generous. The Spurs have been very generous. So 1.6 million is what we've raised. The city staff this week will announce how we will distribute those HEB gift cards. And so it's $150. We're obviously focused on the most vulnerable, even within the most vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. So seniors, those that are on the WIC program, right, for which there is overlap between SNAP and some of those benefits. But we really want to use the infrastructure that we already have in place to distribute those things, because again, we can verify who is a SNAP recipient and make sure we get those resources out very quickly.
But that normally goes out through a federal, I mean, they're sent out through a federal program. How does the city do that?
Get a hold
we know, so for example, there's a program called Project Hope, and this is something that we use to help our seniors, and it's something that we utilize through our senior centers. So we have an idea of who utilizes some of these benefits, and we've got, again, that's why we really wanted to use the infrastructure that we have in place. The WIC, so Women, Infant, and Children, that program will utilize those centers throughout the city as well to distribute. Again, folks know these resources, and it was about us making sure we can get the resources out to folks quickly.
But what happens if this continues? We're about to hit 35 days. When that money runs out, what will San Antonio do?
Well, I mean, look, this was only meant to be a bridge, right? This is not the solution. The solution is Washington, D.C. gets back up and running. It is so unfortunate because, as we are seeing, when folks are messing around and playing politics with this stuff, who does it fall to? The most vulnerable in our community. So the solution is for folks to get back in Washington and get back to work. The other thing that I also know that we're seeing in our community, I mean, a real contentious issue we know is the extension of the ACA credits. Folks are already going online, seeing that their premiums, on average, it looks like folks' premiums without the credits will increase by 20 to 30%. Right? So I'm very concerned, as we still have inflation, as we still have immigration policies that are driving up labor costs. Now most vulnerable are not having food benefits, on top of now also those that are having increased premiums. Let me just say though, you know, again, part of the federal shutdown is those folks that are also showing up to work, not knowing when they're going to get work. Last week I was at the food bank with Eric Cooper, and they said they traditionally serve about 120,000 folks. And in that same time, they're now seeing 160,000, right? Many of these folks, some of our federal workers in our own community that are not seeing a check. It's heartbreaking because this is one, falling on the most vulnerable, and this is all, let's never forget, needless.
Yeah.
It is needless pain and suffering.
And you mentioned the fact that a lot of those federal workers are working without a paycheck.
That's right.
TSA obviously is something at the airports, air traffic controllers,
That's
everybody
right.
else. We see the nightmare that's going on in Houston right now. What happens when it trickles down? It's going to affect San Antonio International as well. What happens when it gets there? There's really nothing the city can do about that.
Well, we can always use our bully pulpit. We can always talk exactly what you said is, hey, there are consequences to these short-sighted policies. You all are playing politics, and this is in our community means people don't have food on the table. It means people are additionally at safety risks. So I was actually just at the airport, and took the time to thank the TSA workers that were showing up without a paycheck. I'm thankful. My understanding is that Border Patrol is getting paid. So I think it's important that TSA also gets paid. These folks that are doing really tough work, as well as our air traffic controllers. Folks never forget. I think part of I mean, having been in government, part of the challenge for me as well is that we're sending a very clear message to people doing this work when you can say, hey, just show up and we'll pay you when we pay you. How do you think that makes them feel? We already have in this country a shortage of air traffic controllers, a large shortage, in fact. About 2,000 folks is what I understand Secretary Duffy shared over the weekend. And so folks can do other things. And I think it's really important that we always think about the costs, the message that we're sending to our most important resource, which is always talent, right? Yeah. Talent.
Well, this morning, speaking of bridging the gap for people, bridging the gap, the city and AT&T when it comes to fiber optic internet, how exciting is that for, the west side, east side, south side?
It's very exciting. We know, frankly, we need water, we need electricity, and we also need Wi-Fi, right? We need connectivity, whether you're talking about, frankly, economic opportunities, employment opportunities, educational opportunities. So with so many inequities in our community, many of it geographic, I think this connectivity is going to be so important to help connect people to the opportunities to improve their lives.
Let's talk about Election Day.
It's tomorrow. Barry, have you already voted?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So you got to have some kind of feel about the way this is going. You have to be talking to some people that have to have some kind of idea about how it's going.
Barry, I can't go to HEB without people telling me how they feel about this, or have a breakfast taco without people
I know what you mean.
Unsolicited, right? And hey, I'm the mayor. I'm always listening, right? And so this is my message: go out and vote. If you haven't already voted, this is a generational investment. Make sure you have a plan to vote. Tomorrow is the last day to vote. You can vote at any of the sites across the community. Please make sure you vote.
No, it passes, it fails. No idea.
Oh, I'm not polling. Barry, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
I'm raising money
to people.
I'm raising money so people can put food on the table.
Right.
That's where I'm focused right now. The people will decide.
All right, man.
All right. Yeah.
Always good to see you.
Thanks for being here. We'll be right back.